Hey y'all, I'm back. I have finally finished these 7 journals that I've been working on for over a month now. And one of these, this particular one right here, this style, not this one, is already spoken for, so there's only 6 actually. But I made 7, and the custom journal that I made for Renee is what sort of started this. She wanted a sort of country farmhouse style, excuse me, journal for one of her students. So I'm not going to show yours, Renee. I'm going to let you be surprised. But um, they're all the same. They're all the same size, the same style, but different, and they all have the same number of elements in them, but the elements are different from journal to journal. The only thing that is the same is like the cover. The cover is the same on all 3. These little pieces have all the same elements. The little tie that I made, but they're different, you know what I mean? So like this one has the little chocolate milk tab, and this one has the little farm fresh eggs milk tab, and the tags are different, that sort of thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'll flip through one, because this is gonna be a long video, you guys. I'm gonna flip through one of these, okay? And then I've got 4 more that are the same style, but they are different. There's different fabrics used. They're more floral looking. Still the country farmhouse theme. Still all similar elements. Same number of pages. All that good stuff. You know, same number of tags. Same number of things tucked in. There's a ton of vintage ephemera in here. There's a few things that are like cardstock, scrapbook elements, like little journaling cards and things like that. But everything that's in here, the pages, except for there's some avocado dyed, and then there is some cardstock that I embossed. There's no scrapbook paper in it. They're all repurposed book pages, cookbooks, floral pages, vintage ledger, original vintage ledger. There might be a few digital things, and there's a few digital things I did use on the tags. And I'll try to remember to tell you where I got those things. If not, just ask me later, because honestly, there's so much in here. Anyway, and there's a bag that comes with each one of them that was inspired by Jessica Rapp. And thank you, Jessica, for all your inspiration. And Cassie at Dust to Roses was my inspiration for these ties. I really, really enjoy doing this. I think it's super fun. And then, if you're not one that wants all this on the front of your journal, you can take it off and use it as an element in your book. And then, your cover can just sort of be plain. So I like that concept. So there are a few other small elements I'm going to add if you purchase one of these. And I know I'm talking a lot, guys, but I'm just trying to get all this out. And then I'm going to flip through one of them and just kind of skim through the rest. I'm not gonna flip through every page on every one, because that would take 2 hours. So anyway, so that's that. These are gonna be available in my shop Tuesday, June 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I've still got to go through and take pictures and get the listings in Etsy. And today is Sunday, June the 5th, and I just finished these. And when I do this video, I'm going to load this video and I'm going to the pool. So it's a beautiful day, and yeah, I want to get out for a little bit. So anyhow, so they are like a TN size, so they're like 5 and a quarter by 8 and a quarter. Okay, and then here's the tie. Oh, geez. Okay, I've changed my setup, y'all, and I've got to, sorry, I've got to, I'm not going through all that again to start another video. I'm just not. I've changed my setup, so I got to remember not to reach up here and hit this camera. So here's the little. So you'll identify this in the shop by this photo, okay, of this little boy on the horse and this cowboy standing next to him. And then this is a little pocket right here, so I stuck a little vintage tag in here. And now this is not vintage. There's another little tag, and this is not vintage either. That's like a little copy of some tags that I bought from. I bought a whole thing of tags from, I think it was the washi tape shop. Anyway, I used a time card and some ticking, and then some jean and vintage buttons, and clip those on there. And then, you know, with the eyelets, and it's tied through the back. So you can actually take this out too, and you can use this as an element somewhere else if you want. Okay, and then in the pocket, in the front pocket, there are two vintage playing cards that Renee sent me. Thank you, Renee. And then there is a tag, a collage tag that I made. All the tags will be different, but with similar elements. This is all vintage stuff to use to make this tag, even the file folder. The only thing that's not vintage is this image right here came out of a scrapbooking line, and I don't remember which one. So these are all vintage little saver stamp, little stamps. This came from an actual almanac, okay? And then there's a book page back there too from the almanac. And then I cut up a bunch of tab. I have so many of these recipe tab pages, and I thought this might be fun for you to play with. So I just cut it up like a tag. So there's one of those in each one. And then there's a little recipe page, okay? So that goes in here. So there's a pocket in the front, and there is a pocket in the back. So this wraps all the way around, okay? And then when you open it up, there are 52 pages in each one, so it's thick, and I've got extra stuck in here too, but there's plenty of room for you to grow in this. So this was in the pockets in these two, I made some scrappy, just some scrappy pieces that I was gonna maybe do some like little snippet pieces, and I just cut those up and made pockets. So that's what the pockets are, and they're all vintage and old fabrics. And then in the front pocket, there's a tag, and then some little vintage, some little tiny vintage ledger, vintage diary from the 20s, and a little general merchandise vintage little ticket, service ticket. So when I flip through these, I'm not going to pull out everything in every book. There's wallpaper in the front, vintage wallpaper, a pocket. I made tabs, I made ruffles, vintage music, vintage recipe, ideal magazines, vintage, this is a green vintage ledger, more wallpaper. Like, this is not vintage. This came from a paper line. It looks like a vintage photo, but it's not. And then these little things are not, these are printables right here. These are some little things that were gifted to me that go in the top of like a mason jar, when you give somebody something. Recipe, needlework, pages, vintage ledger. I did some embossing and made some little tuck spots. This almost looks like a doily type embossing. Really pretty. And I did not do anything to any of this, like as far as inking anything. I thought if you want to add color to this, or you want to ink it, or you want to add something else on top of that, I tried to put embellishments in here and clip embellishments in here and do a few tabs and things like that. But still give you the room to make it your own, okay? So there's this vintage recipe. So that's the way that was. Another handwritten vintage recipe, and they're the same amount of vintage recipes in each book. They're just different. So this is a printable, and this did come from the scrapbook paper. This came from a gardening book, and then this came from Renee. She sent me several of these. So I can't remember what's in the other two. I think one of them might be a cow and one might be a rabbit. So I stuck that in there, and these are vintage envelopes that I got from work. And all I did was tear the top. I tore the top of the envelope off. I didn't cut it. I just tore it to give you a pocket. These two little tags came from a paper line. Okay, but they look vintage to me. I thought they were really cute in here. Another vintage recipe with really cool illustrations on it. I hope you can see. Yeah, there we go. Really cool, really nice paper. This is like a calligraphy paper or needlepoint. This is music, and then I put a pocket with this really cute fabric that I believe Renee also sent me this. And there's another tag that I made with a vintage book page. This might have come from an Alice and Jerry book that I took apart, and some almanac and the little red stamps. The fabric, pieces of the fabric that I just picked up, if you watched my haul, from my store, my favorite store. And then these really cute, I put a really cute book page from a really big kids book that Renee sent me. So it has a little chicken there that says the cluckety, or the little duck there that says the cluckety duck. There is an envelope in here that I left plain. I left it open, cut it open on this side and the flaps on the other side. And then some little snippet pieces that I had that I made tabs out of, gardening book, vintage music, another vintage like springtime book. This one's not as old. This was probably from the 80s. More super old vintage ledger. Well, this was from, it looks older than that, but it's from like 2002. This is some more embossed. This is embossed cardstock. You can see that. And this is really cool if you put like a white ink on it. This is fabric ruffles that I made in here. Vintage children's book page. Sewing. Another more cooking. That big cookbook, I don't know if y'all saw where I made some big like pockets out of these a while back. And I tried to put ones that had like images of chickens or things like that on there. And then this came from a really old cookbook. And it was kind of fragile, so I think maybe if I put it in the center, I put some tape on it because it was more fragile than what I thought. If I didn't put it in the center, I don't think I taped it, but I think I changed what I was putting in the center on some of the other ones. And then I also added with a little ball pen and a rusty paper clip. This is a vintage ledger that I just safety pinned together from 1924, and then a flashcard. So I just kind of stuck this in the middle of these. I don't think I put it in the other ones. I just put it in the these farm journals. So see, that's poultry, so it's got chicken on it. So I'm just gonna flip. Now this is a vintage photo and a true vintage ticket stuff, okay? And then another one of my ruffles. Other side of that ledger. The springtime book, music. It flips out. There's a ton of space in here for it to be a smaller journal. Here's the other side of the envelope. I just got it shut. There's nothing in there, but you can put things in there. I took it in each one. I made a little book pocket page, or book page pocket with some vintage fabrics, and then I stuck a little journaling card in there. Now this is the other side of the music with the pocket, and I just stitched it. I just stitched it around to add some interest there, and I clipped it. Just put a little clip there. I love that with the chickens and the dogs and the cows and the sheep. My birds are really loud today, y'all. Okay. So here's another vintage recipe and another little, these come from a paper line, like a country paper line. The other side of the recipe, vegetable salad. These illustrations are so cool. I just thought they were so nice, and these pages are so nice. And then here I clipped a bunch of things here, a vintage bingo card in that pocket, clipped some other things on this side. These will all be different in each. Some might be similar, but some of them will be different. These little that come out of this was a printable. This came from KB and Friends. Some of these are KB and Friend printables, and some of them are paper line. The gardening book, and then on the other side there's another little tuck, and then I tucked in Nana's banana bread, a little piece of Tim Holtz paper, and this is also a printable from KB and Friends for recipes. So that just tucks right up in there. And you know, of course, the other side of everything, the wallpaper. Love this from the Ideals book. I added a thing of vintage buttons. Oh, and there's a price tag on the back. That's nice. Well, I'm gonna leave that. That's not what I paid for it, but I bought a bunch of these in a whole sewing drawer from my favorite shop. And there's another little vintage playing card, the country scene, and I believe I found those. I bought like the whole deck of those from somebody. I can't remember who. Some of Renee's paper, coffee dyed paper, and then the wallpaper. And I extended the pages in a couple of these where the wallpaper was not big enough. Anyway, another little tab there. And then there's some extra thing. There's a lot of extra things in the back here. So there's a piece of my fabric washi tape. In each one, there's a piece of this. This is a feed sack that's got like little chickens and flowers on it. See the little chicken? And then a little scrap of this vintage fabric. This is feed sack, and I've got it folded up. So these are decent pieces to be able to make pockets and things out of. And I gave you a big enough piece of this that, you know, you could use this piece along with another piece and do a cover for a journal or however you want to use it. And then in the back of each one, there's a couple of extra little pages that didn't get in the book. And then there's this whole pack of goodies that has, I'll take this one out. I'm not taking any of the rest of them out. It took me forever to put this stuff together. So there's 2 Tim Holtz people. There's a little ticket that came from the tickets that I bought from the washi tape shop. There's a little inventory tag. There's 2 milk caps. Okay. There's a vintage slide. There's one of my handmade buttons that has a rooster on it, and then the flower on the other side. Postage, a sold tag, a vintage Rolodex card, a layaway tag, a little envelope, coin envelope with 2 little fussy cut items from KB and Friends. Let's see, I'm making a mess, just dumping everything. A scrap of the wallpaper. You know, if there were scraps left over, I put those in here. The scrap from the time card. Put a little piece of the embossing that was left over, and an envelope. These are vintage envelopes. They don't really look vintage, but they are. They just didn't. They were in a box, and they just hadn't, you know, just hadn't really aged. So thought that might be fun to include an envelope for you to tea dye or whatever you want to do with it, collage, so forth and so on. So that is this little guy with, I don't know if that's his daddy or his papa, or, you know, with him riding the horse. I thought they were so cute. These photos, I believe I got from Jessica. She sent them to me. And then here's the bag for this one. So you got a pocket here, a little pocket here, a pocket here. This I just left that flap, and you got a big pocket here. But then on the other side, what I did was I had already kind of cut these out. When I saw Jessica making the bags, and before she did her video, I had so much of some of this fabric left, and I thought, oh, what a great idea, Jessica, So I pulled some of my fabrics out and already kind of cut these pieces like this. But then as I was putting it together, I thought, well, I got these two big pieces here. This would be cool if I just made this a big pocket. So that's what I did. So this is a big pocket on one side, and then, several little pockets on the other side. All right. So this is the bag, and these are all going to be similar but different. And now on these bags, I had some rope cording. So this is a little bit thicker than the macrame cording. I had just enough of this left over in my stash to do these 3 bags. And then on the other bags, I used the macrame cording like Jessica did. So that is that one, okay? And then they'll all be separate listings, okay? So this is this one. This has the little boy petting the horse or looking at the horses through the wire fence, okay? And the little buttons and the little tags in there. So use the same elements on these, on the front of each one of these. The other 4 that I did, they're a little varied. They're a little different on each one, but very similar. And then this is the bag for this one, okay? And the back of this one, you can see the same fabrics. This piece of fabric is different. And this is feed sack fabric here. And this is an old tablecloth that I purchased from someone selling online. I don't remember if it was Shelly or I can't remember who it was now. This came from Renee. And then this is a quilt piece that I had picked up, some old jeans that I have in my stash that I've cut up. And this came from another vintage tablecloth that the middle of it was blue. So what I did was I cut all around it. I haven't made anything with the images on it yet, but the blue in the middle went really well with this, okay? And then I did attach one of my little scrappy flowers to each one of these, all right? Now this one I will pull the tag out. I'm not gonna pull, the same other things in here. This one's a salad tab. So here's the tag that goes with this one. You can see the farm scene. See, yeah, I'm already at 23 minutes. This is gonna be a really long video. Well, I need to glue that down better. Let me set that out. Let me set that aside. So, pocket in the back, pocket in the front. And I'm just going to sort of flip. I'm just going to, just real quick, just kind of show you. Here's the other tag. So you get the idea, right? And there's different little things. Here's the where's that goat? And then here's all the little animals here. And I love these images from this particular cookbook, just to remind you of the country. Here is the little Norfolk vintage ledger and the tag. See the red checkered tablecloth. There's a little pig, isn't he cute? He's a little prize pig. Gosh, I hope I've been in frame, y'all. I'm gonna be upset if I hadn't been. So you can see all, similar, all pages from the same books, all the same elements, but different. Here's a little vintage photo here, a little extra vintage photo in the ticket stub. This is a printable I think this came from Junky Little Secrets. Here's the little book page pocket with recipe. So things are not stuck in the exact same places throughout the books. They're in different places, but all of the elements, you know, there's the same amount of vintage and same amount of little journaling cards and things like that. Okay. And then here's your little fabric. Here's the bag of goodies, and then the extra book pages. I think there's 2 in there. 2 extra book pages. Okay. So that is that one. All right. Man, give me just a minute. Okay, so here are the other ones. Like I said, this is going to be a long video. So here's 2 of the other ones, and there's 4 of these. Now, these are the same amount of pages, same elements, everything else, just a little bit different look as far as the cover goes. Okay, so this one has this lady. I believe this is probably Grandma holding the grandbaby. And these are real vintage photos. They weren't discolored, and I didn't do any inking to them. I like the contrast. So put one of the little ruffles and the little milk tab and the little vintage key. And these are they're all vintage keys on here too. So you can see this is a little more floral type country. So here's the front cover, pocket in the back. In these, I put I did put the recipe tag in here. And then these were printables that I purchased from Cassie, Dust to Roses. And these just remind me of the country. They're like sewing pattern digitals. And like I said, I didn't distress any of this because I like the contrasting look, but you can go in and, you know, distress around these if you want to. This is some of the vintage fabric I just picked up. So these are all on, most of these are on file folders. Some of them are just repurposed in like boxes and things, so the back of it will be darker. And then I stuck a little flower. I'll probably clip it somewhere, you know, on the book, if you purchase this. Okay. So front and back, and then in the back these were inspired by Creative Cafe. Susie, I believe her name is, at Creative Cafe Girl. These are old. This is something that I just looked up on. The old medical type files, you know, this really pretty green. And I have quite a few of them in my stash, and I cut a couple of them up to make tags. They make nice sturdy tags. So I just took some vintage, that French hymnal that I still have some of, and some of those postage stamps, and then some of those little tickets. And then these are printables, I believe, from the Graphics Fairy. And just kind of did a little collage inspired by one of the tags. She did like a 10-day of tags. And these were inspired by one of the tags that she made that was inspired from somebody else. And it might have been a lady named Camilla. And then I put a little Tim Holtz tag on each one of them, or charm. Okay. So that's that one for this book. And then the fabric is, you know, I recently did some journals where I used this really pretty needlework fabric that was a dust ruffle at one time. And then this is a vintage napkin that I just sort of folded over and put at the top. So it's a pocket on the front and the back, of course. I've probably said that 5 times. And then inside each one of these, this fabric is going to be different. Most of them are the red ticking, and then there's a fabric pocket in the front and the back. And then the same sort of thing. There's extra fabrics here. And all of these are pretty much the same, I believe. Yeah, same size, same little pieces of vintage fabrics, and the goodie packs in the back. Okay. And the washi tape. The washi tape's different, of course. It's more of a floral. These are fabric washi tapes that I made. Okay. So, and in the front there are some Graphics Fairy postcards that are printables that I backed onto file folder, so they have, you know, a little bit more sturdiness to them. Some Tim Holtz tags, and then the other 3 little vintage pieces. Okay. Or, well, there's 4. There it is. I thought there was one in there. So all those same elements are tucked in the pockets. And the wallpaper, these are wallpapers that I picked up from Shelly. I bought like 3 or 4 of her wallpaper books. I love them. There's a ton of florals in them. And I used Ledger to extend this page, which I thought was pretty cool. I like that. The pockets in here, you know, the fabrics in here are a little bit different. And then I did put some little beads. Okay, put some little beads on a couple of the tabs in each book. But the same type of pages, okay? Same stuff. Wallpaper. This is an Edith Holden. I was going to make an envelope out of that, but then I just decided just to clip it in. More wallpaper. Needlepoint, gardening, music, vintage ledger, more gardening, more vintage ledger, the embossed paper, cardstock, recipe, music. This is the one from an Ideals book that I thought was really cute, in the middle. And then there's a large tag in each one of these. This tag is like, let's see, I didn't do the vintage. Yeah, this tag is like 9 by 4 1/4. So it's a large tag in here. And these were made from recycled like cereal boxes and stuff. So the back is plain. These look really cool if you write in white gel pen or like a different color, like a blue or something. I think it looks really cool. And then these are just different. It's vintage ledger, and then I put vintage recipes and the stamps, digitals from Cassie's shop, old receipt, you know, just collaged these. And then I thought, you know, you could, if you want to punch a hole and put a ribbon, or if you want to use a little piece of the fabric, so forth, so on, for the tag. And then I left the strings. I just left the strings in each one of these, and I think I'm gonna add some little things, some other little bits and bobs, some buttons and things like that. And I'm gonna add some buttons, and then maybe a couple little charms. So if you want to put something on the strings, you can, or you can use them another way. In each one of these, there is a piece of Tim Holtz paper that I just made a flap out of. More vintage handwritten ledger. Here's the little book page pocket. Another tag. So there's three handmade tags that are different in each one. Okay. And if you have any questions, if you have any questions about any of these or any of this stuff, just, let me know. Just leave me a message here on the video. Here I took this really pretty fabric that this came from Jen. I just thought it was really pretty, and I just did a little fabric flip here. I stitched it on at the top. So that's in each one. And then there's a little vintage calendar book page. This is another little vintage piece of fabric that's almost like it's like a little quilt. I think this was a stamped image, and I just made that a little flip. The other ones I made like a little pocket and a tab kind of out of this. This one, because of the direction it was, I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do that, so I just made a little flip, and that's wallpaper. So it's on a sturdy piece of paper too. And I just keep rambling. This is Graphics Fairy. There's a vintage flash card. There's a smaller vintage flash card in each one of these. There's your little tuck here. Recipe. Here's the little vintage tag, the card, the vintage ticket, and the little coin envelope. Here are the vintage buttons here that I put in here. I put a plate page and just a regular page out of a field guide with rusty paper clip. And then here's the other little bead for this one. These are all beads that I made, that I make, and I make a bunch of that stuff up and I just keep it in my stash. And then the stuff that's in the back, okay? So, she goes back in the front, and it goes back behind her, and then this goes around, and I gotta pin that on here, let's see. And then the bag that goes with this one is this. So this is all vintage fabric, okay? This is all vintage. This is vintage sheet. This is that vintage tablecloth. If you watched my haul video, this was one of the napkins that was in that video. This is the edge of another, this was like another embroidery piece that I had the edge on. I thought that looked pretty there. So this is just one big pocket here. This is kind of just stitched on here, okay? And then the back side of this one, it's all vintage sheet. This is a vintage linen here. This is vintage fabric. This is a piece of a vintage embroidery piece. So there's a pocket here. And then there's a pocket here. Now, a little disclaimer on this one. I had to go back because I messed up and I stitched this on before I finished this part. So, I stitched these two pieces together, okay, but then I couldn't stitch. If I had stitched this on at that point, this would not have been a big pocket. So I did right here and right here is fabric glue, okay? Well, right here and right here is fabric glue. Because I messed up and didn't do all my stitching before I put the big thing on. I should have stitched all these pieces first and then put it on. Wasn't thinking, okay? But that's the bag that goes with this one with Grandma and her baby and her grandbaby, okay? And then let's see how much time we're at. Okay, this is like 37 minutes. So what I might do is do the last two in another video. Anyway, so here's one with, looks like Mama doting over her baby, her new baby. That didn't sound country, did it? Doting over her baby. Anyway, I have had so much fun making these. These are just, and the bags too. Just using all these, you know, all these pieces are, except for two, like this was a little printable, and I think this was another one of those little tickets. So all this stuff is vintage. I made the little flower out of a vintage tablecloth piece, and you know, that's a flower sack fabric, and the vintage library card, the vintage time card, the vintage buttons, the rusty paper clip, which I rusted those. So, but anyway, so that's the little tie on this one. And then here's the tag. I believe this is the same little girl, the same image, but the tag is a little bit different. Okay. And then the flower, and then this little tag. Okay. And I'm just going to flip through real quick. All the same kind of stuff. You can see this is different fabric. This came from Renee's Vintage. I'll try to be quick here. Here's the little pocket here. And like I said, you can see I didn't tuck things in the same places, so I didn't tuck anything in there. But there's things clipped everywhere. Keep going out of frame. Gotta figure out how. See, I clipped a bunch of stuff here. That's wallpaper. Or ledger, garden, calligraphy, recipe, music, the little flap. Over some needlepoint. The floral book plate. Here's the big tag in here. And you can see in this one, I chose to put the ledger in the middle. So here's the big tag for this one. And on the two of these journals that I didn't clip the vintage key to, I put it on this tag on this little ball pen. I just tied it up there. So you can move it wherever you want to. So you can see that tag. You get the idea, right? And I mean, honestly, if anybody wants to, if you want to see, so here I did do the stitching of this little fabric. I just did that piece and pulled that other little pink piece off. But that other little pink scrap is back there with your fabric. If anybody wants to see, you know, stuff, you rather me, you know, slowly flip through each one of these, let me know. But you know, for the sake of time, and I've already, you know, it's already a long video. Here's the little bead on this one, and I think, did I miss the bead up here? Yeah, here's the little bead up here on the front. So it will be there. I just know that, you know, a lot of people don't want to sit and watch what's going to be almost a, you know, 45-minute video anyway. If I do the other ones, it'll be an hour long. So I think I'm gonna do them in another video. So here's the fabrics, here's the little goodie pack, and then the piece of washi tape, of course, is different, okay, in each one. All right, so that is that one with mama and her baby. All right, and then here's the bag. Okay, so you got a pocket here and a pocket here and a little pocket back there. So there's two little pockets, okay? And then on the back side, you have a big pocket, pretty big pocket here, and then another big pocket there, okay? So that's the bag for this one. All right. So you'll just have to remember them by the photo, okay? I didn't see any real need in putting like A, B, C, or D on them because the photos are all different. So that's that one. And then I will show you one more thing. I'm gonna come back and do the other two real quick. I'll give you a peek. So if you know, just to see if you want to even take the time to watch, you know, because this one has, I believe that's I don't know if that's dad or grandpa and the baby, but it's the same fellow in both picture, okay? So that's this one. And then you can see this one I didn't put the milk cap on it, put the buttons and stuff. So so the key's in here, and the other milk cap that would have gone on here is probably clipped in there somewhere. But there's extra ones in the back too. Okay, so those two I'll do next. And then I also have, if anybody's interested, I'm gonna do another video of these two. So I have some fabric packs that are all the same. There's 5 of them, okay? So quite a bit of fabric. It's all sort of you know, farmhouse theme type fabrics. Some of the chicken fabric that, and this is all repurposed fabric, okay? So if anybody, if you're interested in that, like, let me know. I'll probably do a whole nother video, but it'll be later this week. But if you are interested, just message me, and I'll let you know how much they are and so forth and so on. So if they sell like that, then I won't have to do a video and going through all of it. But I can still do that. Anyway, phew, I've been busy, y'all. And cleaning and moving stuff and everything else. I'll be back with the second video, flipping through these, and hopefully that'll be a quicker video. All right. Love you guys. Bye. I'll be right back.